Good afternoon, everyone. How are we doing? Actually, is it even afternoon yet? Sorry, it's been a bit of a long day for me. I was on the 6 a.m. flight from windy Wellington. So, clicker would be useful. So as Justin said, it's great to be back on stage again, and we're here a couple of years ago. And it's amazing how much things have changed even in a couple of years, but especially since I started the company in 2016, AI has changed a heck of a lot in that time frame. Ultimately, AI is about humans, as we've heard, and ultimately from a business perspective, hopefully you're all here because you want to grow, and hopefully you're all here because you want to grow profitably. And so that's really what AI, in our perspective, that's what AI is really all about. And so we want to really focus on the practical here. How do you go from near zero, hopefully not too many absolute zeros, to being an AI hero within your organization or for your whole company, within a short space of time with a very practical kind of lens on it. Not unsurprising, we're at a time of incredible change, and there are opportunities and there are threats as a result of AI. I like to think there's both positive as well as negative risk. The opportunity to do things, if you don't do it, is a risk to your business because your competitors are most likely going to be doing it. Everyone thinks they're maybe slightly behind. Everyone thinks maybe it's too late for them to get started, which is absolutely not true. Most people are still at the start line, but the opportunity is right here, right now. And so part of this these kind of events is to emphasize the urgency of really getting going. And so the time that you spend here today is going to be incredibly valuable for you. Oh, is that the one that was that next? Yes, it was. Great. Over the last 3 months, we've done AI adoption workshops and use case workshops with over 100 New Zealand businesses across all shapes and sizes, but mostly non-technology based businesses, manufacturing, trades, engineering, professional services, and so on. And most of the use cases end up being very, very similar. The use cases are same across many businesses. We all think we're kind of super special quite often, but actually when it comes down to it, our use cases end up being very, very similar for AI. We've got data, lots of it, but it's locked in various places and we can't get access to it. That means we're either got to ask each other lots of questions, or we're doubling up on work, or we're having to do manual data exports or data entry, so on and so forth. Incredibly frustrating when you've invested time and effort and money in those systems. There's still a lot of human time being spent doing low-value work. Again, that's the kind of productivity gain that we all think about or talk about when it comes to AI, is how do we stop the humans doing that kind of low-value stuff and move up the value chain. Because the systems are disconnected and we've got that multi-tab kind of scenario where we've got to copy and paste between systems, whether that's because they weren't designed to be integrated, or whether they're kind of locked down because that's how the vendor wants it. But there's a lot of copying and pasting, especially when it comes to reporting. If you want to report across all of your organization, getting that information out of systems into one place is typically a big blocker. We know that we've got a big generational shift coming up across small businesses, and that's going to massively impact New Zealand from an economic perspective. A lot of that institutional knowledge is still in people's heads. We may have a few standard operating procedures, but they aren't the reality, as we all know. And so there's a lot of danger, a lot of risk to a business if your senior people and the most experienced people have that knowledge still in their heads and it isn't available across the organization. And then finally, you'll feel like you're drowning in data, but trying to get insights is incredibly difficult. How do you get to decision-making quality data, and how do you get it fast, and how do you bring it into the organization in a way which it helps you make decisions faster and better? Again, this is the promise of AI. It's not just about a personal assistant that does everything for you, or robots, or living on the beach without having to do anything. This is the practical level of AI kind of right now. And so we'll do a bit of a demo later on, but through all of these conversations, we built our platform, Pneuma, right here in New Zealand, and for New Zealand SMB, and we'll get into that a little bit later on. So yes, AI can do incredible things. It can identify cures for cancer. It can probably solve the world hunger, whatever you kind of see in the big keynotes. The reality is we've got more mundane things that we need to do for our businesses. We need to get more customers. In this kind of economy, many of you will be doing more RFIs and RFPs and quote requests than you've ever done before. That's how businesses are looking to procure, reduce their costs, kind of getting out there. The time it takes for you to prepare a quote, prepare an estimate, whatever it may be, is a dramatic drain on your time. And probably the more that you do, maybe the slightly lazier you get and you're pumping out templates and you're not winning so much business. AI can dramatically improve that process. It can make it personalized, it can make it better, and it can be nearly fully automated. All of your information within inside your organization can be on tap, available to every member of staff or only one member of staff, depending how you set it up. Between systems, knowledge bases, different types of files, Excel spreadsheets, PowerPoint presentations, audio, video, all of that information can now be integrated and ingested by AI, so you can unlock all of that knowledge across your organization. And sadly, until the robots truly take over, most of our work starts and stops in email. Our inboxes are busier than they've ever been. We're trying to figure out how to prioritize. We're trying to improve our communications. We're being bombarded by AI newsletters. It's just not getting any better. And so there's a huge amount of work that starts and stops in email that AI can now really begin to lean into and help you move forwards. Just one example, a media company, an AV company based in Wellington. Again, non-technical organization, apart from when it comes to equipment. They knew everything that I'm plugged into. But in terms of their business, they were very people-centric and very basic technology operators. They wanted to start off with how do we answer FAQs, right? How do we stop having to respond to all the same emails all the time? That was their starting point to free up their humans to do more value-added work. So they started with that, with our platform, and then moved on to a number of other use cases that helped them speed up the quotes they could put out, the business they could win. And then they started coordinating work, coordinating calendars, coordinating delivery schedules, communicating automatically with clients and prospects. And then just a few weeks ago, they ran an internal competition to see who could build the best agent to add the most value to their business. And again, these were people that weren't in AI at all 6 months ago. And so now they're using over 100 agents inside their organization, growing faster than they've ever grown and are more profitable than they've ever been. That's what AI can deliver to your businesses today. The problem isn't going to be the technology. The problem, unfortunately, is because we're all human, and we don't like change, and we resist change. It takes us a while to get over that hump of, I don't really trust it, to, oh, this is quite exciting, to how the hell do I do as much of this as possible? That journey is a human journey. It's not a technology journey. The biggest thing that you can do for your organizations is prepare your people and prepare your culture, prepare your systems for AI to be able to make the most of it. That's what's going to speed up the velocity of your value that you get from AI. And as leaders, the communication, the training, and the freedom and the controls that you put in place are what's going to make you successful, not the technology. I can tell you that technology can do 95% of what you want it to do already today, and you need to be able to figure out how to harness that in a way that benefits your organization. And that's why we have these little workshops, is to help you kind of tease out some of those things. So when you go back to your businesses, you have some clear use cases. The technology is ready, the people are not. That is the challenge that you should be taking away to your businesses today. Because still, sadly, and this is a global number, I think, there's a lot of experimentation going on. There's a lot of projects and POCs going on, but 70% of them inevitably fail, and they fail for a number of reasons. But people and change management are a lot of a big contributor to that. Not having very clear metrics. Why are we doing this? What is the definition of success? Why would we choose this product over another? Why would we choose this project over another, this task? And so getting some definition around that is incredibly important to make sure your products or your projects, don't fail. With AI, it's all about building momentum. How do you continue to get your team on the journey? How do you continue to build value in your organization? How does it not feel like just another technology project, another bit of software that your team has to go, another one we've got to learn, another thing we've got to change? How do you move beyond that to get those teams super excited? And so I just want to introduce to you an arc, a 90-day kind of plan that we've come up with and kind of trying and testing it with all of our customers right now. So you need to find the quick wins. So kind of call them the Goldilocks projects, the ones that are not too big, that if you fail, all the momentum is lost and everybody says, look, I told you so, the technology wasn't ready, so on and so forth. But you don't make them too small that if they're successful, nobody gives a damn. So you've got to find the right kind of portfolio of tasks and projects. Then you've got to be able to, in fact, I think I've actually got a slide for each of these, I do. These are things that you can do really, really quickly. One of the biggest things about AI over the last couple of years, maybe a bit longer, is the speed at which you can iterate, the speed at which you can test and learn, the speed at which you can build something which previously felt magical and impossible. And then you can iterate, you can use it, and you can continue to build on it and get more value out of the use case that you're working on. Get your teams on board. Don't just make it the responsibility of one person or one team. Get everybody on this journey, whether it's through a competition or a training program, a pilot scheme, whatever it may be. Get everybody on that journey. Because it isn't about transforming your business from day one. It's about getting some traction, building some momentum, connecting people and systems together to really show the value of AI. And then you've got to think about how do you scale it into your organization? How do you get into your core workflows? How do you begin to connect your systems together? How do you build your playbooks around different core systems? How do you identify the flow of data through your organizations? How do you identify the difference between the documented SOP and all the shortcuts and workarounds that the team actually use? How do you begin to capture all of that? When I started in 2016, data scientists were the unicorns that everybody was looking for. I can tell you now, I believe that the business analyst is going to be that unicorn for the next 4 or 5 years. Because if you can't document your processes, AI cannot automate your processes. So again, data capture, process capture, business understanding, business architecture, processes and systems are incredibly important. Otherwise, you're going to be having AI playing around at the edges and you won't get it into the core of your business. So if you have business analysts, keep hold of them, get them AI enabled, and let them start going around your business, figuring out where there's gaps in information, gaps in data, gaps in process documentation. And then quite simply, scale what works. When you've identified the processes that can be automated that are going to return value, when you've identified the jobs or the roles or the parts of the roles where the humans, if they're released, can have a value of where it used to be 1, they can now have a value of 2 or 5 or 10. I can tell you over the last 5 years, my engineering team has gone from 20 down to 3, and we are outputting 10 times more product than we've ever done before. Yes, that's a downsize in technical humans, but our commercial, our partnering, our customer success teams are growing faster than they've ever grown before. It'll be the same in your organization. Some roles will change. Other roles are going to be exploding into life. So look at it holistically and see where are you going to be able to scale this impact across your organization. And double down on that for as quickly as you can, and then find the next one and find the next one. And so you can find 2 things. You can find our AI adoption canvas, which is free on our website. We presented that a couple of years ago. It's been used by thousands of companies across New Zealand and Australia. And you can also do a self-assessment on your AI maturity, and then you can get a 90-day plan straight back from that. And so then you're going to begin to understand where are you at. Not everybody needs to be an AI-first company. Not everybody needs to automate all of their operations. Not everybody needs to really fast track everything and stop doing anything that they're doing. But if you don't do something, you're going to be going backwards very, very quickly. Planning it, committing the time is super important. We hear many execs go, I just can't find the time to be able to build an AI program. which is ironic when you're like, well, AI is designed to save you time. So if you can invest 10 hours in an AI program, it will return 100 hours, 1,000 hours. So start prioritizing an investment in time for you and your team, because you will get a massive multiplier out the other end. And so you want to move as fast as you can through this maturity curve. And so that's really it. We will get into practical workshops now, but the key message is, again, it's a people problem, not a technology problem. Find your right use cases, double down and scale what works, and commit the time to invest in AI now, because it will pay back 100-fold tomorrow. Thank you.